From WJLA 24/7 News, this is Toyota Sports Talk.
Hello everybody, welcome to Toyota Sports Talk. I'm your host Scott Abraham. Thank you so much for watching. We have made it to the weekend. It is Friday, it feels good, and we have a great show coming your way as always. We'll be joined by Mark Gray, who we're going to discuss the Washington Post article that came out yesterday, 15 brave women alleging sexual harassment in Ashburn at team headquarters. We'll also be talking with the Washington Post's Samantha Pell as we get ready for Capitals playoff hockey, which is coming very soon. And we'll also check in with DC United. Audi Field empty right now, but there's still a lot going on there at the stadium, even though DC United is in Orlando right now playing in the MLS is Back tournament. Our guest tonight on Toyota Sports Talk, a familiar face of the program, Afro.com's Mark Gray. Mark, as always, good to see you. It's been a little while. Let's just say it has been a wild week for our Washington pro football team.
It's just been a wild week, generally speaking, news-wise, but it's always good to be with you, my friend. You're absolutely right. In our wildest inclinations, I don't know if we ever thought that we would see a week like this when you consider a name change, lingering scandal, with the emphasis on lingering that I think a lot of people have forgotten about, incidents of the past involving the franchise with a calendar shoot down in the Caribbean, which seems to have gone away but was bubbling beneath the surface. It's like that old, I believe it's maybe a Harrison Ford movie, What Lies Beneath. Yeah. We've seen what was beneath. It's ugly. A name change isn't going to fix this.
Obviously, the name change is the bigger story, but 15 women alleging sexual harassment between 2006 and 2019. I'm sorry, that trumps a name change.
It certainly does. And I don't mean to sound insensitive to my Native American brothers and sisters, but you have some people who are divided on that issue. I used to catch a lot of grief at 106.7 The Fan for people who thought that I was making a political statement referring to the team like Doc Walker does with burgundy and gold. But when you have companies like Radio One, who I worked with, and the Afro, who had long ago stopped using the proper name of the franchise, it became a part of my personal lexicon. So it was never about politicizing for me. It was about, noticing that if one person was offended by the use of that term, that was one person too many for me. And, company mandates in order to keep your job. This, on the other level, sexual harassment, apparently from high-end people in the organization, where there was a blind eye turned to, and if you believe the reporting, it was held as leverage over their job security. The layers of heinous in this particular salacious story are so mind-boggling and overwhelming. I just wonder how, in good conscience, the NFL could not step in and start taking its own drastic and punitive measures, which may lead to a forcible change in ownership. I mean, I'm not saying that I have any notion, but you do have a precedent that was set at Ron Rivera's old team by the Carolina Panthers, who faced a similar circumstance, and that's the direction that they went in. I'm not trying to equate Dan Snyder to Jerry Richardson. I'm just looking at it from a precedent that has been set by the league itself. So it'll be interesting to see how they, legal term, adjudicate that matter.
I know the Washington football team is doing an internal review. I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of an internal review. I feel like the NFL maybe should do their own review and bring their own people in instead of the Washington football team hiring the people they want to do the review.
And then, of course, as we've seen, when the NFL does its review during Spygate, any information will be torn up or destroyed so it doesn't get out. But you're absolutely right. Again, it goes back to precedent. You have set a precedent to do an internal investigation, and whether you're the commissioner or the league's office, you are always supposedly operating in, quote, the best interest of the sport. The best interest right now, and this is my team, I'm depressed that I have to address this from a fan standpoint. You hurt because of the tradition, and you almost feel guilty that you pulled for. But you got to get to the bottom of this. You got to fix it because it's the right thing to do. And it's about time the franchise started doing right. Scott, we've seen from players' health care to fixing the field to a number of other things over the last decade where the franchise has just not, at least in my opinion, done the right thing. This is one where you have to do it. And if the team isn't going to do it, then the league certainly has to.
You read Daniel Snyder's statement earlier today. I was a little surprised he didn't come out with one last night, but nonetheless, he did provide a statement today. What was your reaction?
Dan Snyder misses Tony Wiley, first and foremost, number one. Number two, the wording of both statements this week come off as lip service. They're very short, controlled. There's a sense of absence of transparency to me, and just looking to try to say the right things to create the illusion that we are sensitive to this. But if you really were sensitive to this type of behavior, and you had the previous track record of just the one incident that we talked about earlier with the calendar shoot, it came off as very hollow to me. I thought they were words that really didn't have any depth, and I want to see some independent transparency, because I did a show with some friends in New Orleans, and we were talking on the radio, and they were telling me that you're burgundy and gold, you're ride or die, if you will. And I guess in that regard, I am. But I can't tell you how, when I've covered SWAC basketball tournaments for HSRN, and I'd get pinned up in the media center of the Toyota arena down there, and people are like, "What's going on with your team?" I'm like, "Well, you got to understand, I'm down here covering this tournament. I don't know what's up." There are a growing number of us who care about the franchise, who love the city, who are tired of having to represent and come up with a statement. So I'm at a point right now where everything just kind of rings hollow. I want to see some substance right now. They got to fix it at the top level, and if they don't, I want to see somebody else do it.
Well said. He is Mark Gray, Afro.com. Mark, as always, thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks for having me, bro. You take care.
You too, man.
Try to get some rest.
I know. It's been a long week. Much more to come right here on Toyota Sports Talk. Olivia Garvey will be joined by a Washington Post Caps beat reporter, Samantha Pell. Stay with us.